Welcome to No Rain Date, a community podcast about local news and people. No Rain Date is a production of Saucon Source, LLC. For more local news and information, please visit sauconsource.com. Hello and welcome to episode 11 of No Rain Date, the podcast for Saucon Source. My name is Josh Popacek. I'm the publisher of Saucon Source, and these are the headlines Saucon Valley is talking about for the week ending February 6th, 2020. On Monday, there was a big surprise at the Hellertown Borough Council meeting when Mayor David Heinzelman successfully vetoed a controversial rezoning amendment that Borough Council approved by a vote of 5-1 in late January. If you'll recall, this rezoning was for a piece of land at 1527 Easton Road, which is on the border between Hellertown and Lower Saucon. Council had voted to rezone it from R1 to R2, which means essentially that higher density housing could be built on the land in the future. The representatives for the current owners had said that they have no plans to develop the land at this time. However, many neighbors especially were skeptical of that, and following the January 21st meeting, they began a petition to oppose the rezoning and to try and get it reversed. That petition ultimately received nearly 500 signatures. The family that started the petition, the O'Briens, again spoke vocally against the rezoning at Monday's council meeting. James O'Brien asked Mayor David Heinzelman to veto the ordinance, which by law he has to sign if it's to take effect. And essentially that's what the mayor did. Council then tried to override the veto, but that override failed, which means that the current or original zoning of R1 is what is now in effect for that property. Now, the O'Briens and other opponents of the rezoning said they don't expect the issue to end there. Very well could become a legal matter. We will, of course, continue to follow this as a developing story, which affects many families in the area. In other news, out of Fountain Hill, there was a big surprise. The new zoning officer, Tom Wargo, has been busy investigating the number of rental units in the borough. It was believed that there were something like 350, but through his work, which began at the beginning of this year, Wargo has discovered about 700 more rental units than there were believed to be. So that's more than 1,000 rental units in a borough that's only about 0.7 square miles and has about 5,000 residents, according to the 2010 census anyway. That's a lot of rental units. To add insult to injury, the borough discovered that fees that were to have been collected on those rental properties dating back to the year 2000 had not been collected. So it's kind of a double whammy for Fountain Hill, but the good news is that they have a plan for going forward and the revenue will begin flowing at this point anyway. In Lower Saucon Township, there's been news about the Meadows Road Bridge, which has been closed since April of 2018. A group called Pennsylvania at Risk placed the bridge on its 2020 list of most endangered properties in the state. What does that mean? It means more attention for the bridge, which is owned by Northampton County. Meadows Road Bridge was built in 1858 and is one of the oldest bridges in the area. It's a stone arch bridge across the Saucon Creek, and it's just south of Hellertown Borough, slightly west of Route 412, sort of behind the giant shopping center, if you're familiar with where that is on Route 412. The bridge was closed after an inspection discovered that it was structurally deficient. It's sort of been in limbo ever since then as the county tries to decide whether it should be rehabilitated or rebuilt. Lower Saucon officials have said they favor preserving the bridge. However, there's also a divide among members of the public about what should be done, with some members saying that the bridge is not practical in this day and age. It's a one-lane bridge, and there are also other issues related to it. So that's a story that is far from over. Regardless of what happens, the bridge won't be open anytime soon. In fact, in a letter to the editor today, published on Lehigh Valley Live, it was indicated that the county does not have plans to replace that bridge until 2029, although there are some efforts underway to hopefully speed up that process. So we're in it for the long haul in terms of covering the Meadows Road Bridge story. Animal lovers are no doubt excited that the Westminster Dog Show is coming up, and we were excited to report a local connection with that. Lower Saucon resident John Landis will be a judge at this year's show, which is in New York City. It will be covered live between February 9th and February 11th. So tune in online. There will also be television coverage of it. Landis has been a dog breeder and judge for decades. However, this is his first appearance at Westminster, and we wish him good luck. In the Saucon Valley School District, there's still a controversy about whether the schools need a resource officer to bolster student and staff safety. Parent Jennifer Schmell, as well as other parents who support the idea of hiring a school resource officer, spoke at length at the last school board meeting, and we reported on that on Saucon Source. The board did not publicly respond to the request for a resource officer. However, Superintendent Craig Butler shared his thoughts about that and said he will be discussing the matter with his administrative team and coming back to share information about it at a future meeting. You can bet that Schmell and her colleagues will be at those meetings. She's vowed to continue to put pressure on the board until a resource officer is hired. So that's another story we'll be following. In weather news, it's been very mild. However, surprisingly, there's a chance for freezing rain to occur, as well as some additional winter weather later this week. Tony from Lehigh Valley Weather Authority has been keeping close tabs on the forecast, and we'll turn it over to him now. Take it away, Tony.
Hey everyone, Tony here from LVWA with your exclusive 5-day outlook for Saucon Source's No Rain Date podcast. For today, periods of drizzle under cloudy skies. High temperature this morning of 40 degrees, and that will continue to drop throughout the day, down to about freezing, I think, by about 4 o'clock this afternoon. Going down to 30 degrees tonight, which sets the stage for a little bit of freezing rain and sleet to move in here, I think between the hours of midnight and 4, 5, 6 a.m. Thursday morning. So there could be a few slick spots out there. However, with the warm temperatures leading into this event, I don't expect many road surfaces to become slippery. Now, as you head way up into the Poconos, the higher elevations of Carbon-Monroe County, that's where you're going to deal with a little bit of the slippery conditions. So overall, I don't think a huge deal here in the valley, but definitely be aware of that if you are headed out Thursday morning. Thursday remains cloudy after that ice, with some rain moving in Thursday evening, and it will become heavy at times into very early Friday morning. Now, Thursday's high temperature is 44 degrees, going down to 40 Thursday night. So won't be any frozen precipitation, the later part of Thursday and into Friday. However, Friday, the rain will be out of here first thing in the morning, and then have the potential to switch to some snow showers or even a period of light snow by Friday afternoon. Friday's high temperature of 38 degrees, going down to 18 Friday night. Saturday colder, high of 34, periods of sun and clouds, low of 26 Saturday night. We do have a small, weak storm system moving in Saturday night and into Sunday morning. Could bring few inches of snow with it. I'm not super enthused about anything, this winter so far, but does have a little bit of potential to bring a little bit of snow. So Sunday's high temperature 36 with that AM snow. So stay tuned. Definitely a wet week here. 1 to 2 inches of rain, then a little bit of snow by the weekend. Maybe 1 to 2 inches of snow if I had to throw a number out there for Saturday night and into Sunday. But overall, winter has yet to show its face, and the window of opportunity is going to start coming to a close here, and not much longer here, I think. I talked about it, last week, 2 weeks ago, that article, this winter just not been a snow lover's dream. This has been a very miserable and long-winded, drug-out winter with just no snow, no cold. For some of the construction trades, it's been good because they've been able to work all winter. But, like I said, the ski resorts, the snow plowing business definitely are suffering this year. So hopefully we can salvage something here maybe for the second half of February and into March, but that has yet to show itself. So that's all I got for you. Have a wonderful week. Stay tuned for any updates here over the next couple days in regards to that freezing rain Thursday morning and that little bit of snow Saturday night. So check me out, LVWA, on Facebook, Instagram, and on the internet at lvwaweather.com. Thank you and have a wonderful week.
I'd like to welcome two special guests to No Rain Date this week. We have Kelly Bauer, Executive Director for the Center for Animal Health and Welfare, and Jessica Schwickrath, who is owner of A Furry Tale Come True doggy daycares. We have the original location here in Hellertown. They also have a location in Nazareth, and you have a location in Wind Gap. We're big fans of you guys here at Saucon Source. Furry Tale has been our sponsor of Pets in Need of Homes, which highlights a different animal from the center each week. That's a great way to encourage pet adoption. So hope everybody's reading that. I wanted to start off by kind of asking you each to describe how you got involved in helping animals, when you knew you wanted to do that and what led you to where you are now. So Kelly, do you want to start off with that?
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I like to talk about animals all day and all night, so this is good. My first real memory was when I think I was like 12, and there was a stray cat that lived outside of our house, and it just tore me up that this cat did not have a place to live. And my mom wouldn't let me bring it in the house. So I was babysitting at the time, like that was my income source. And I went to Home Depot and bought supplies and made an outdoor cat house. And legitimately put my all into it. I even lined it with newspaper, like tacked newspaper, and then made like a wall so that the walls were insulated. I mean, this was like a full on amazing house, and the only thing I'm pretty sure that lived in it was a skunk. I don't think the cat actually went inside, but that's like my first real memory. I mean, we always had animals growing up, but I was never like a crazy animal person. I just wanted to help. Like that was kind of my thing. Like I just wanted solutions for things. But I didn't really start getting into it until later in life. I adopted my first dog not that long ago, 7 years ago, and just kind of it grew from there. And at the time, prior to becoming the director, I was actually working in politics and just, loved animals, supported the cause, but never really dove in. And the opportunity for the shelter came up, and I was like, you know what? I should do something that means something. And then it became, I became the crazy person. And just, with my 7 dogs now at home and working on everything I possibly can to improve animal welfare. And that's kind of where it went. And I just get a little crazier every day.
Well, that makes a lot of sense, actually, because then you had the administrative experience to bring with you to the care of these animals. And
I honestly think the difference for me was, and what I was able to do was bring the side of it that people don't necessarily think of when they think of a shelter director, which is the marketing, the public relations, the business side of it. Because as much as we all love animals and as much as we want to help them get a home, if you don't have a solid business structure in your nonprofit, you can quickly just become a place where people love animals, but you don't have that long-standing sort of model that you need to have. And I think that was what I felt like I could bring to the organization, was able, giving it, a clear message, making sure that we're reaching out to the people that matter, making sure we're bringing education to the table, those type of things. And I think that's where we've been able to be successful in the last 4 years, almost 4 years.
I would absolutely agree with that. I mean, I've supported it since before then, but I don't know who the director was before then, because you are more visible. You're very hands-on. I see you,
everywhere.
I was going to say, I don't know, some people would agree that's a good thing. I'm sure there's others who don't think so, but
many people say, I know you. Oh, wait, you're on that show.
Yeah.
That Coffee Talk.
Well,
Yeah.
and look at the interaction the other day on Facebook where it came up about bingo.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you calling the numbers.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's really cool. That's a great way to promote the shelter and, meet people. And
I think it's important, especially with a nonprofit organization, that you do put a face with the organization, because people are giving their money to you hoping you're going to do the best with it and hoping you're going to put it where it's supposed to be. But I think having that recognition of who's actually running the shelter and seeing what I do on a day-to-day basis. Like Jess said, I run into people at Walmart who are like, hey, I watch you on Coffee Talk. For those of you who don't know, 10 a.m. live on Facebook. People enjoy it. They like that interaction. They like knowing me as a person and feeling they're connected, because they hope then that the person that they know will put their dollars to good use. And I do think that's important.
Absolutely. Yeah. I just discovered Coffee Talk, and I like that a lot too. So definitely check that out. That's on Facebook.
It's on Facebook. We're at CAHW1. It's live at 10 a.m. And the night before, we always post, people can bring up topics they want to discuss. It's a really interesting forum. We call it, the good, bad, and hilarious, because we kind of cover lots of topics. We're very honest. For those who know me, I don't have much of a filter. So it is, it allows us to have real dialogue. It allows us to really talk about the things that people are talking about, not just like what the pretty picture looks like.
Right. So Jessica, let's switch over to you for a bit and take us back to 2005, 2006.
2006 is when we first opened in Hellertown, the very first Furry Tale Come True. That I kind of just crossed my fingers and hoped that it worked, because back then doggy daycares were not very popular. I had graduated from college 2 years prior with a degree in elementary education. As I started to substitute teach more and more, I would realize that I started realizing that wasn't really what I wanted to do with my life. And at the same time, I was volunteering at the Center for Animal Health and Welfare, and fell in love with it and asked how I got a job there right out of college. And my mom kind of had a fit, told me, you're going to work for $7 an hour. I needed it. Like, I had to do that. I was there for probably about 2 years. The director at the time was Bauer Block. And although Kelly is my favorite of all-time directors and is amazing, Barb really played a big role in my successful career that I have now. She basically told me, when I told her my dream of having a dog daycare, she said, work here, work at the shelter for 2 years. You will learn more than you can ever wish for to one day open up your doggy daycare. And she probably thought I was, who really opens up a doggy daycare when they say they're going to at 25 years old. Mm-hmm. And we did. Anthony and I did. And I learned at the shelter from dogs in play groups, helping with spay neuter, just got my hands in everything and learned pretty much everything you can learn about dogs. Would definitely helped me in my path. And I can't even believe that was that long ago. But it's about 13 years now. So, and here we are with 3 facilities.
Right. Yeah, I know at that time that was a new concept to me, doggy daycare, and
I had my little, I think back, I had to put a coming soon sign. And we literally had no money back then, because it was just Anthony working. We owned our own house and had nothing. So I remember going to Staples and getting a poster board and little sticks to put the coming soon sign. And I got stencils, the little letter stencils, and coming soon, a Furry Tale Come True, doggy daycare. And I remember the talk around town, people were like, really? Like, is that going to work? Like, who's really going to? And at this point in Hellertown, we average probably, in the busier season, so I'd say maybe 40 to 70 dogs a day. Different groups, don't freak out, but we have different groups we have everybody in, but it worked. So
yeah, it's clearly not a fad.
Yes.
I mean,
no.
almost 15 years later.
There was a couple open at the time, a couple great ones. Puppy Palace in Bethlehem, they were open, I think, a year before me. And they're an amazing daycare. I want to say maybe Leader of the Pack was around, but not like there is now. There's a lot in the valley now, but we're
people
still
are only
good.
Working longer hours, traveling further. Mm-hmm. So I would imagine your number of clients is only going to grow.
We do pretty well. Daycare is busier in the winter, believe it or not. I guess because people, to get out and get their dogs exercise and running in the wintertime is a little bit more difficult. So we definitely do more daycare numbers. in the wintertime. In the summertime, it's more boarding numbers with people going away. It gets a little insane, especially in our Nazareth location. Nazareth is double the size of Hellertown, so we're able to hold a lot more, but it's definitely the more challenging location at this point.
Right.
And then our Wind Gap location is strictly the training center. So Anthony runs that with the other trainers. I think we're up to 6 other trainers now that he works up there with. And we not only take dogs, paying dogs who need training, but we also work with the Center for Health and Welfare, Pibbles Paws Rescue, Brindle Buddies Rescue, and we try to help them as much as we can by taking the more difficult dogs, doing some training with them, and then getting them adopted. It takes a little while sometimes, but we do that up there too. So
we currently have 3 dogs in their care for board and trains that were dogs that were going to be euthanized at other facilities. We pulled them to make sure that they were able to live, and then they stepped up to help us get them trained to get them adoptable.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic, and that business is called AFT Dog Training.
Dog Training, yep. So believe it or not, it's hard for a lot of people, and they question me constantly. Why did Anthony name it AFT Dog Training? Because the answer is AFT is short for a furry tail. AFT. So that is why it was no
That's crazy.
method to the madness, no kind of wow.
Genius thinking.
Just
the acronym.
This is very embarrassing. My own mother asked me that probably about a year after we had AFT Dog. Because AFT Dog Training is a little bit... Anthony's had his training certification since we first opened in Hellertown, but we probably maybe about 3 years now have been doing AFT Dog Training. First it was at Nazareth, and now we just bought the facility in Wind Gap. Wind Gap is about 11 acres. Anthony's crazy. He fenced it all in, but
wow.
Yeah. So, but
I gotta get up there and see that someday.
It's beautiful. It's amazing. We have a really good time up there with the dogs. They do daycare there as well, but it's more structured daycare, maybe up to 10 dogs at a time, and that's for dogs who can't do the craziness of regular doggy daycare. The stimulation with all that dogs. Sometimes dogs will do better in smaller groups, and they can go up to Wind Gap. They only do it on Wednesdays for now. But they're pretty much at capacity. We're probably going to be opening up a second day of the week soon to do daycare up there, too.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's fantastic that you're growing like that, and I'm proud that I've been here, basically the entire time.
You used to bring Molly Katz to
yes.
daycare. That's how I first met Josh.
Yes.
Molly Katz, were you pet sitting her?
Yes.
For Joel, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you would bring her to daycare a couple days a week.
Yeah, the Golden Doodle.
Yeah.
And yeah, you always post great pictures too. Especially, I think of the pool.
The one that went viral.
Yes, that was
one
awesome.
that went viral.
Which one was
I thought we were so cool.
It was a pool one, wasn't it?
It was a pool one, but it was a smaller pool, wasn't it? We have the big pool in Nazareth, and then we have it's really just a horse trough. Mm-hmm. Which is a smaller pool, but it's still, I don't know, it's like a horse trough. It's pretty big. We have one of those in Hellertown and in Nazareth. But this particular post was taken by one of my wonderful employees, Jordan. She takes all the pictures in Nazareth. She's amazing. She doesn't realize how amazing she is. But she took this one, and all the dogs are like in the pool. The one's like on the step, and they're kind of just posing, and it's weird. Actually, the comments on it when it went viral, people are like, Photoshop, but it was not Photoshopped whatsoever. Mm-hmm. It was just the picture of...
it had to have been at least 20 dogs.
Yeah.
Just chilling in the pool.
Just hanging out.
There were millions of shares. Yeah. I mean, it was like...
It was exciting.
Insane.
And I'm like, Jordan, from now on, when you post cool pictures like that, you have to put a furry tale come true on it. Like, nobody's going to know it was my daycare.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have
that
to
happened
prove
to me at the end of last year. Like, only it was like a dumb meme that I made. But
and it went viral. Yeah.
At least it wasn't like, a business-related post. But, But yeah, exactly. Yeah. Watermarking is a good thing.
Yes. And I tried to do it again. We had this video of the big pool in Nazareth, which is literally about 4 foot deep. It's one of those dock diving pools, a little bit shorter, but the dogs are all up on the ramp, probably a good 30, 40 dogs all up on the ramp, and this one dog just decides to run and jump over everybody else that was on that ramp and jump and dive into the pool. And I put something like how to get ahead in life or something, and I put a furry tale come true. It didn't go viral. I thought it was so cool. I'm like, this is the best video ever. And I tried to do it, and it didn't work, but that's okay.
There's that little bit of magic that has to be there.
And then the right person has to repost it. So the guy put this doggy daycare is lit or something like that.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, and I don't even know how many followers. I don't remember what page it was, but she was super excited. She'll never admit it, but she was super excited because it was her picture.
Yeah, well, if that happens again, we're definitely doing a story about it. I want the exclusive.
Thank you. Yes, definitely. You were the first person I'll call.
So let's go back to the center for a little bit. I wanted to just run down a few facts, like how many, roughly how many animals do you care for at one time per year? How do you sort of quantify that, and what's your capacity, and what are some of the challenges of helping that many animals at once?
Well, when I first came into the shelter, the one thing that I had noticed initially is that we had a lot of animals, and in my opinion, too many. So I did something called a capacity for care study, and I looked at are animals who are being adopted out, do the numbers affect the adoptions? Meaning, more animals, more adoptions. And what I found was no. Because when you have more animals, when you have too many animals, you run into socialization issues, you run into health issues, you run into a lot of things you wouldn't think of. So we did this model based on capacity for care, meaning we took the time it takes to care for an animal properly and divided the amount of staff we had, the amount of time we could spend, and that's how we kind of developed the model of how many animals. So right now, yearly, we take in about 700 to 800 animals. Wow. We adopt out that many. We actually have, last year, or actually 2019, we actually exceeded that, which meant we got a lot of our long-term animals out. So we actually had higher than the amount that we took in. And we found that our numbers stayed consistent, if not better, than when we had a lot of animals. There were times that the shelter took in 1,600 animals in a year, but they were only...
I used to work there at that point.
We were only adopting out about 800 or 900. So we realized that it doesn't work. When you pack a shelter full of animals, there is inevitably issues you're going to run into. Not even factoring in, the employees and the turnover rate. I mean, that was one of the things we noticed. We are much more successful now with keeping, employees because we're not asking them to essentially kill themselves to have the same outcome.
Right.
So we take in roughly 700 or so. Our goal for this year is 850. We think we can attain it successfully and responsibly. Right now, in-house, we have about 100 cats and 32 dogs at any given time, including fosters. We can have up to 150, 160 cats, 60 dogs or so. So we try to make sure that we're keeping it at numbers that are not only good for the animals, but also for the staff, because it's important, when you work in a field that is so emotionally driven, both high and low, it becomes exhausting. So you have to really balance that out as well. So, and if the staff is exhausted, they're not going to be able to give the care to the animals the way they should. So we really took an approach about capacity for care that I think has helped us really not only increase our adoptions, but make sure that everybody's kind of happy and healthy.
Yeah, no, that's great to hear that. I mean, how does that work then in one of these situations? And I know you've had some where there is an animal hoarding situation, maybe 100 cats. Yeah. Like, you obviously can't probably take them all. Do they get divided up among different shelters?
So in a case like that, the PASPCA goes out, and they're sort of the statewide emergency and crisis response. So what they'll do is call us and say, how many can you take? So luckily, we don't deal with necessarily the logistics of that. We come in and help. And I think that sometimes is people are confused by what we do. And I think it's important for people to understand that we're what you would call a managed admission shelter. So we don't get any funding. We don't get any, there's no magical money fairy anywhere. So we rely solely on donations, most being individual donations. So we have to be careful with, the process and how that works. So we take animals that we're able to obviously house safely and responsibly. And that does limit, how many we can take in and who we can help. I get a lot of calls of people very angry with me because I won't take their, 7 20-year-old cats, but we have to, it happens, trust me. I could literally say anything to you and it's happened. Or you could say anything to me, you could throw the most outrageous thing to me and I'll go, yeah, that happened 2.5 years ago. There's just a lot of people out there that don't take pet ownership as a responsibility. But so as a managed admission shelter, we work within our, capacity and what we can do. So in a case of a hoarding, we have taken, actually not that long ago, we probably just took in 12 cats. We've taken up to 20 cats. If we have room and we can make it happen, we do. If we have fosters, it makes it even easier to do that. But yeah, we unfortunately have to say no sometimes, and we do what we can, but ultimately we save as many lives as we can.
Right. And probably I'm guessing like maybe some of those people's attitudes come from the fact that years ago there weren't as many rules.
No, you could just drop your thing.
Right.
You
Right.
had to take it back in the day, right?
So the original SPCA, it was the Northampton County SPCA, over 100 years old. And up until 2003, it was what we call an open admission, which means, yes, we'll take anybody. But the problem that then you euthanize for space. Mm-hmm. So while people don't want you to euthanize for space, they also still want you to follow the model that you used to, which was take any animal. So it has been,
Mission impossible.
Right.
It really is impossible.
Right. And so what we work to do is not only educate the public about what we actually do, but we work for ways, work towards ways of how we can help without actually taking the animal. So we'll, if it's a training issue, we'll suggest training. If it's, a resource issue, if they're having problems financially, we try to help that way. So we try to help actually keep the animals in the home when we can. We take them when we can, and sometimes, unfortunately, we have to say no. So yeah, there is definitely the public perception that you're a shelter, you should take my animal, no questions asked. And
we just need more shelters. That's it.
Or we need more responsible human beings.
We're not going to get
right,
that.
and how do we
I
get
think
to that?
Shelters are more
well, and I think
closer on the horizon.
Well, I think one of the issues is spay neuter. It's one of the things that we've really put a focus on about overpopulation. There are more animals than there are people. And so when people keep overpopulating and there's nowhere for them to go, whether they be strays or whatever, that's what happens. And there are a lot of families that actually own animals, multiple animals, and there's still too many. Like there is never going to be enough space to save every animal. And it's an argument that I have gotten into so many times with people about, well, what do you expect to happen? Like, what's going to happen to this animal? And the problem is bigger than the current solution that we have. I mean, that's just the reality of it. Even if we built 100 shelters, there's always going to be more need, and we're going to go, well, now we need 101, we need 102. Mm-hmm. So to me, the focus shouldn't be so much on how many animals can we take. How do we help in other ways? How do we solve the overpopulation issue? How do we help people with their resources? How do we make it, a community issue that we can help, as opposed to I just want to drop my animal?
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I mean, this example doesn't exactly relate, but I know like in Hellertown they have the trap neuter release program, which was instituted with no nonsense neutering maybe 6 or 7 years ago, and like they had all these feral cat colonies at that time throughout the borough, and because of that program, I think last year they said there were like 3 feral cats or something,
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's been a huge success.
Even up at the daycare, up at my daycare, they would drive the dogs crazy. They
Yeah.
just like a cat.
Right, because there was one behind McDonald's.
We did the trap neuter release, and I got a lot of the kittens. That mama cat, she was smart, man. She was smart, and she just wanted to keep having kittens.
Yeah,
she
and
just
they
wouldn't let us help
reproduce
her.
so quickly.
Yes.
I don't have the exact number, but it's in a lifetime, a cat and its offspring. So we're not just talking about one cat, but a female cat and her offspring in their lifetime. So think about all that. 40,000 kittens.
Oh my gosh.
So imagine you spay one.
Yeah.
You've just eliminated 40,000 in the lifetimes of those other animals. So think about it. So a mama cat has 10 babies. Those 10 babies have 10 babies. Those 10 babies have 10. I mean,
it's like a pyramid
I
scheme.
think I've seen like a video that sort of like shows you that, and it's crazy.
And you don't think about it, but that is why TNR is so important. And people they think, oh, we need to bring these animals in. First of all, news alert, most feral cats want to remain exactly where they're at. And we understand people don't want them to be cold or hungry, and we want to have solutions for that. But,
right.
The best thing that we can do is spay or neuter them and keep them from continuing to have babies, because that's where the problem lies.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, the cost of the TNR program is minuscule compared to what you get from it.
We do it at the shelter. We have low-cost spay neutering, and if you actually bring a cat in a trap, not your own cat, but like just a community cat, we only charge $40.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
That's good to know.
It's not, and we give them a rabies vaccine as well. Mm-hmm. So it's really not expensive. And I know a lot of people say, well, why is it my problem? Well, when cats are eating your birds and tearing up your garbage and doing all those things, it is your problem.
Yeah.
You might not think it is, but it will help your life out. I tell people all the time that, even not feeding them, they're going to find food. They're going to find, people say don't feed the feral cats. Either way, they're going to find food, whether it's in a bowl outside your house or the birds that you like to watch from your window, or the garbage in your garbage can.
I feed them so I can get their trust and trap them.
Yeah.
Fix them. It's like my joy
It's a
in
good
life.
strategy.
Yeah, I do. My food goes behind my
I have a
shed over
couple
there.
in my neighborhood, so now that I know that, maybe we can.
I have trapped in my house.
And I'm always trying to apply for grants that would even relieve that cost even more. We're always working on ways to help offset, because I understand if it's not your animal, it's difficult, especially,
if you can't afford it.
If you can't afford it to begin with, it's difficult. So we're always looking for ways that we can kind of help that along. We apply for grants when we can, just to make it easier.
Mm-hmm.
We're working on some other, solutions, hopefully, but I get it. $40 can be a lot if it's not your cat. But
Right.
it really does. It really is a community issue. And, every little person can make a difference.
Make it your random act of kindness,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah. Or I always say to people, offer it to somebody else. If you know somebody's got a problem with cats and they can't afford it, just make the suggestion that you'd be willing to help, and that will change something. I've already done that. My neighbors a couple down, they insist on leaving their cat outside, so I went and got her spayed because there's going to be babies.
Right.
And no, not my cat, not my problem necessarily, but I
just did it with one of my employees a couple months ago. Every time she posted, "No more kittens. Does anybody want a cat?" I'm like, "Listen, give me that mama cat.
Yeah.
Give me them kittens before you give them to anybody. We're gonna solve this right here." And she did, and I paid to do it because I can't. Like, it's right under my nose.
Yeah.
It had to be.
Yeah,
done.
and I love cats and kittens myself, but yeah, when you see that, it does kind of bother you.
That's like the people that say, I just want my dog to have one litter just so I can, but no. There are plenty of dogs out there, mama dogs, that you can, trust me, I do mama, puppy, baby fostering all the time. You can too. It'll be fun. Let me know, and I will find you a pregnant mama, and you can foster it, and you can... You can help us find all the little babies' homes. Like, your dog does not need to have.
Or you
one
also
litter.
hear, I don't want to compromise his manhood.
Yes. Oh, God, tell
I
me
hear
about
that. I hear
daycare,
that
let me
all
tell
the
you.
time. And you know what the interesting part about that is? It is proven that a dog will be less aggressive
Yes.
when they're neutered. So a lot of the problems that people will run into in the 2, 3, 4-year-old stage that they could have been solved by a neuter. And even with female dogs, there's so many medical issues that come about if you don't spay or neuter. It really is, besides a population thing, it's really a health thing.
Right.
There are even a lot of people out there. It could become a health thing. It's not that they even want to breed their dog. They just don't want to. They don't want to fix the dog. I have that all the time. They come because they have to be spayed or neutered as of 9 months to come to our daycares. I even had a guy once tell me, as I was 9 months pregnant with my daughter, "Well, what do you mean I have to get him fixed to come here? Are you going to get fixed?" And then I took that for like a second, and I could have either been funny or I could have gotten mad. And I just said to him, "Actually, yeah, I think I am after this one. I'm done. Like, we're going to go." And he actually got his dog neutered, and his dog still comes to us. So, yeah.
Wow.
I like to think I make a difference in that way. And I also say, and I'm sorry if this is TMI, I don't think it is, but I'm going to say it anyway. Imagine being a male dog and you're not allowed to mate with a female dog. You just have to not be neutered. But to have that urge all the time, and like, they literally, those poor male dogs get, like, when they're in the play yard, right before they get neutered, if they're like, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 months, we say they have to be neutered. They can't help themselves. Tongue on the ground, like,
They're like 16-year-old high school
yes,
boys.
and it's like, if you can help them, like, take that urge away from them. It's just sad. I feel terrible for the dogs,
Right.
Like,
Well, maybe do a video of that, and that'll go viral.
like, look at them. Just look. That's actually a genius
that's
idea.
a good one.
Yeah. Will you promote that video if I do it?
Yes, definitely, because it's a PSA. So.
Absolutely. This is why you stay and neuter.
Yes,
I love it. I
look
do.
at it. Look at him. Does he look happy? He's not happy right
He's
now.
embarrassing.
He's
us.
embarrassing. Like, he's got the red rocket out, and he just is. It needs to stop. Spay and neuter your pet.
Yes. Well, You mentioned that's one of the rules for bringing your dog to a fairy tale come true. What are some of the other rules? Because I know you're a cage-free facility, so I'm sure that plays a role in having these rules.
So they have to have an evaluation. All dogs, before they're able to come and play, whether it be for boarding or for daycare at the Hallertown or Nazareth facility, they have to be spayed or neutered if they're over 9 months of age. They have to be up to date on their rabies, their parvo distemper, and their bordetella shots. And they have to get along with other dogs. So we have this evaluation. They come in. Dogs over 6 months. It's a 2-hour evaluation. We do a little different at both facilities, but in Nazareth, in the bigger facility, 2-hour evaluation. They come in, and we slowly introduce them to different types of dogs, more dominant dogs, female dogs, male dogs, more playful dogs, and we just make sure they get along with everybody. And then they go into the pack, and it's sink or swim. They have to do well, and if they do well, they can come back. But it's kind of always sometimes it's a honeymoon phase, and they do well, and then all of a sudden they don't. So we do behavioral reports just to let their parents know at the end of the day, like, this is what's going on, before we have to say they can't come back anymore, because we have to keep it safe for everybody. I mean, it's not an environment for all dogs. I have 7 dogs as well. Kelly and I both have 7 dogs. I don't know why we both have 7. It's just weird, but we do. And out of my 7, 2 of them cannot go to daycare. One of them, it's just too much anxiety for him. He goes in and he used to do well, but he's a very anxious kind of semi-feral dog to begin with, and just one day he decided not to do well, so he can't come back. And the other one, he's my 3-legged boy. He only has 3 legs, 1 in the front, 2 in the back, and he gets knocked over a lot, and he gets angry.
So see, if your dog isn't allowed to come to daycare, don't feel bad. Her own dogs can't come to her. They got kicked out of her daycare. So don't feel bad.
When we opened Hallertown, there's no way, shape, or form that the 3 of them would ever be able to come to daycare. But because we had a pack like that, I can't tell you how much Anthony and I learned about dog behavior. Like, daycare is a cakewalk compared to what these 3 fools used to get into fights all the time, and just we learned a lot. He learned a lot with the training for that, and he was always good at it. So that's why he's very successful now. It makes me proud. I am not a dog trainer by any means. I want nothing to do with it. I just want to watch dogs play all day. Right. So that's why I do the daycare. But he's always been, and his dad was the same way. They've always been great with dog training. Dogs seem to respond to them, and so it makes it work.
It just seems like it's so much more important. Just even if you don't necessarily want your dog to be in daycare, to socialize your dog these days, because we have more dog parks, we have more businesses that are dog friendly, and or the promenade shops, or and people want to have their dogs with them, but you have to, it's not magic, You
also have to know your dog.
Yes.
I think that's important. I'm not a fan of dog parks necessarily, not because I don't think it's a good idea. I think it's because owners don't know how to read their dog, or it's like the mom who thinks her kid's amazing, but it's not. It's that. My dog's the best dog, it's not going to do anything. That's where the problem comes. It's not necessarily the dog.
And even when they're seeing they're not that great, they still, he's just playing. No, he's not.
Yeah.
But you can't expect people either to always know what they're not dog trainers. They're not dog professionals. You know what I mean?
I think the worst is when you watch people just let their dog walk up to another dog
on the leash,
right,
and then they fight each other on the leash, and then they're wondering why. But I mean, not everybody can know everything, and people need to realize that. I don't know, if they're going to go into an environment like a dog park where it's off leash, you really should know a little something. Go watch YouTube videos on dog behavior. Yeah. You should, you know what I mean? You should know.
I think the number one thing for me is a wagging tail. Everybody assumes a wagging tail is a happy dog.
It depends on the wag.
And it really depends on the wag. And it depends, especially for us at a shelter. A lot of time a wagging tail in a shelter is not a happy dog. Yeah. Even just that. I mean, people see a wagging, you walk up. I've had my dog who has a vest on that says "Do not pet me" with a leash that says "Do not pet me," and people are like, "But his tail's wagging." I'm like, "You have no idea what's about to happen.
You don't know what's going through his little mind right
please stop." So I think even just something as simple as that. You see a wagging tail. If you don't know that that's not the wagging tail you're thinking of, things can happen. So.
And then I think I was telling you before we went on air that 4 of my dogs go and train with Anthony every day at the training center. He has them trained that they actually help evaluate the dogs who come in for training. It's amazing. And Anthony can read the dog that's coming in better because of what my dogs are telling him about this dog. I've seen it over and over again. Like, it's just, dogs are amazing. I'm sorry. And I'm a little biased, but they're amazing. They just still, to this point, blow my mind.
They are, and we certainly love writing about them. And I wanted that reminds me, I wanted to ask Kelly about the Puppy Bowl, which just happened, and you had a dog. The center had a dog on the Puppy Bowl, but you were in New York for the filming of that. What was that experience like?
So we have been very lucky. My first year as the director, actually a month in, on a whim, I saw the Puppy Bowl application, and I was like, I'm in, let's do this. It's great for the shelter. So we had puppies at the time. I submitted them, and we got picked. I'm telling you, submitting it, I was just like, whatever. We got picked. We have been lucky enough to be accepted each year. We submit our, the current puppies that we have, and we've been in now for 3 years. So we're very, very lucky. It's an amazing experience. But yes, in October, you go up and do the actual taping. So for over 3 days in New York, we have the dog that's picked, and we go up and we do taping. The second and third year, we were actually asked also to bring our cats. So we have kittens that participate as well. Funny enough, 3 years, every single one of our dogs just failed miserably. Our cats were amazing. So in the Puppy Bowl, the cats were the stars. But yeah, it's a great experience.
Yes.
Yeah, I know, right?
Win for Josh.
Yeah, so it's a great experience. It's also an amazing platform. I mean, at what point does a small local shelter have the opportunity to be, on a national television show that millions of people watch?
Right.
It was so funny because this year I was actually on camera. They did, on the pre-show, they did an interview with Luna in which they simulated her answering. It was hilarious. And there's my face out of nowhere. And it was so funny because I didn't even think about the gravity of that, because somebody said, do you realize millions of people just saw you? Yeah. And I was like, yeah, I guess you're right. And just to have that platform for us to be able to share that and to be able to be part of that. And it built a great network of people. I mean, the producers and everybody, they just, you kind of are part of this group that allows you to have such a broader reach. And we're so grateful to be able to do it. And it's a lot of fun. I mean, it's crazy, but it's a lot of fun. What you don't see and then watch it, if you're behind the scenes, it just changes the perspective of everything. This is done in a studio, an actual small studio in New York in Times Square. So this is not some big open, huge warehouse where they bring 100 dogs in. No, they bring 100 dogs into, 7 rooms.
It's a lot of poop.
It's a lot of poop. There are these poor, I call them kids. They're probably not kids, but they're interns and entry level kind of at Animal Planet. That's their job all day, is to clean poop, change pee pads, provide water, but it's incredible. We've actually adopted some of the animals that we've taken up there, the cats. We've adopted them to staff members and people that come in, to watch the taping. So it's a really, really cool experience. I'm super grateful to have be able to be part of it. They do a kiss cam and they send an email around saying, hey, if you have any pictures or videos of your animals kissing, in quotations, send it. And my 2 were actually on the kiss cam last year, 2 of my dogs. So it's a really cool experience. I'm super grateful, and it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
I was a little angry because I had my mommy dog Winnie the Moo and her puppies were up for the puppies to be chosen, and they weren't chosen. And
we submitted them.
They were the absolute most beautiful puppies that ever existed, and they still didn't get chosen. I was a little butthurt, but
yeah. We actually submitted 2 litters this year. It was the ones that Jess had, which were hound terrier mixes, and then we had the cattle dog mixes, and Luna was obviously a cattle dog mix, but I am partial.
Cute too.
I am partial to the pitties, but
so that's why mine were the cutest.
But and it's funny because I can't even tell you the rhyme or reason to which they pick them. They do ask for some background information, but they're puppies, so you can only give so much. But they have a formula that works, and we just we submit if we have puppies at the time, we submit, and they get to pick. So there are some rescues that bring multiple dogs, so they must have the magic dogs. I don't know. We've only ever been asked to bring 1, but it really is a great opportunity. But each year we've brought 10 to 12 cats, and they are the stars.
I mean, I love the Puppy Bowl. I also have to, you have to indulge me for a second here, because I have a strong association with the Super Bowl and adoption because I adopted my cat Romeo at one of your events 3 years ago on Super Bowl Sunday. It was at the Petco on 248.
Kitten Bowl.
The Kitten Bowl, yes. And
Oh, I didn't know that.
yes, and you go into like this little enclosure with the, grid on it, the football field, and he was the cat that came up to me and the kitten. So that was yesterday was the third anniversary of that. So
Gotcha.
and actually a friend of mine was there too and adopted his cat that day too. So something about Super Bowl and adoption that is really special.
It really is. And so the Puppy Bowl's been around, I think it's like 20, what was this? No, this was 16, I think. I could be wrong.
So, yeah.
I could be wrong. But I knew about it. I mean, I had watched it because I love, watching puppies wrestle around. But I didn't realize, it really is a thing. I mean, they actually go to Miami and tape when the winners, they go tape there. I mean, this whole thing. People really love it. And I guess it's something about football and animals. I don't know. People love it.
They're both American,
And maybe that's what it is. It's sort of the Americana,
yeah.
puppies and football.
Got to start wrapping things up here, but quickly, I know, Kelly, that the center has fundraisers all throughout the year. You do have one coming up, right? Pins for Pets.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yes, it is our largest fundraiser. Last year we raised just a little over $90,000. It is the only time that we actually do a matching fundraiser, matching funds. So if they donate between now and February 29th, anything that is donated gets matched on air with Bobby Gunther Walsh at WAEB, and then he bowls on, and you can form a team and bowl with him at Jordan Lanes on the 14th of February. Awesome. So we start taking the calls beginning March 5th on WAEB. We do the matching funds, and then the bowling actual event is on the 14th. And it's great. We do it at Jordan Lanes. They are so good to us, and we are able to set up. We do bake sale and raffles, and it's a lot of fun. You can do teams, kids. We encourage, corporations and businesses to create a team together and do like an employee day, and a bonding, and it's a lot of fun. And it's a great event. So you can get more information on our website, which is healthyanimalcenter.org, or on our Facebook, which is CAHW1, and you can get signed up for your league, make a donation. Like I said, this is the one and only time that we do matching funds.
Right, and definitely follow the Facebook page because you promote all your events there.
Yeah.
The bingo, which I mentioned, that's in Catasauqua.
Yeah, we do that twice a year.
It's a good time.
It is a good time.
I've heard. I gotta get to that.
I get mixed reviews. I get people love it, people hate it. I am a crazy bingo lady.
She's
I love
absolutely
bingo. I live for
out of her
bingo.
mind.
But we give away coach purses. For the most part, a little bit of money, mostly coach purses, and people go in. We sell out just about every time. It's a lot of fun. We're going to be having one coming up soon. We don't have a date yet for it, but we like to do lots of fun, different things. But I love the bingo. The bingo's my favorite.
Right, and then also the gala in November, which I went to 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yes, which is awesome, and it's the only time you ever see me dressed
Dress
up.
up. Super handsome.
Yep, dressed to the canines. Actually, we have a date for this year. It's going to be December. It's going to be the first Friday in December this year.
Awesome.
Just because of the way that the holidays fell, we're going to do it on December 4th, which is a Friday. So it's a great event. It's our time that we can get dressed up and act like adults, and we have it at the Steel Club, which is phenomenal. I have to give a shout out to them because they really, for what we get and what they charge us to do it, I mean, they go above and beyond. They actually donate a portion of the food just to make sure that we can, actually raise money for it, and it's gorgeous and beautiful.
And it's right here in Hellertown.
It's right here in
so
Hellertown.
It's super convenient.
Yeah, it's super convenient, and it's really just a beautiful place. And so it's a great event. We have, comedians that come out. We have a DJ that plays. We have wonderful auction items. This year we raised, after expenses, we raised about $16,000. So
That's great.
Yeah, and it's a fun time. We get to get all dressed up.
Jessica, remind us again how we can, connect with the Furry Tale online, the website, Facebook,
is
Instagram.
Yes, we definitely have Facebook pages for both. Furry Tale Hellertown is just a Furry Tale Come True. Furry Tale Nazareth is a Furry Tale Come True 2, as in also TOO. The website is afurrytale.com. Dog training, aftdogtraining.com. I try to do Instagram. I try so hard. I think it's because I'm just getting up there in age, and just that's like the young, cool platform.
You're younger than me.
Only a little, buddy. I'm right behind you.
I'm doing it.
Well, I'm older than
But
you.
no, I do. I try. But then I forget about it weeks on end. Whereas Facebook, we're like constantly posting on Facebook. But Instagram, I'll forget. I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to be posting on Instagram, get more followers. But we're just a Furry Tale Come True 2 on there as well. And a Furry Tale Come True.
Well, thank you both for being here. It's been really fun.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much for having us.
To our listeners, please support the center, whether it's with your time, your money, going to an event. They do so much behind the scenes to help animals in our community, and
Always looking for volunteers.
I was just going to say,
absolutely.
come play with dogs and cats. We love it.
Right. If you're an animal lover, and hopefully you are, that might be something that you'll enjoy doing if you have a little extra time.
If you don't have time to go in with the animals, we need help with fundraising events and all that kind of stuff. Petco cats, right? You have a whole
We have a great
Petco
program
thing going
called
on.
Friends of Fred Reading Program. Even if you're not a volunteer, you can bring your children in to read to the dogs and cats. It's the best non-judgmental way for your kid to improve their reading skills, and the animals love it.
my kids loved it. We did it.
Even I always tell people, if you have a presentation, give it to the dogs and cats. They're not going to judge you. You practice your speech, and they
Right.
love you for it.
They look
so
at you, they roll their eyes. And,
I might need to do that. I have a speech I have to give coming
just
up.
come.
so-
We got mats. I mean, just sit there on your little mat and read to the
Okay.
cats and dogs. But yeah, it's always open to anybody. You don't even
on
have
the
to be a
camera, they'll all
volunteer.
listen to you, Josh. They'll
Yeah.
It's
It's
going to
love
be
you.
about journalism, so.
That's all right.
They don't mind.
No.
I don't even think they understand the English language.
Well, that's the great thing
So-
about the kids when they come
Yes.
in, because here they're practicing their reading skills, and there's no judgment. You mess up a word, I don't know.
I have had probably in the past 2 weeks 4 or 5 people tag me in that article that's going around about the shelter that lets the people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we do this.
Old
at the center.
news.
Yeah,
Old
we
news.
do
We've
this
been
at the
doing it
center
for a year now.
For a year now. And
But-
it's amazing. You should come down and read to kids.
Well, I think Sock and Source needs to do a story about that. for
I love
sure.
it. Come.
Yeah, we'll do that.
And then we'll tell you more about the
Raise
background
awareness.
of the story with Fred, and it's a good one too. So yeah, absolutely.
Okay, it's a deal.
Yeah.
All right, thanks again.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
No Rain Date is an original production of Sock and Source LLC. Our theme music is provided by This Way to the Egress. For more great music by them, be sure to follow This Way to the Egress on Spotify. Thank you for listening.
Every night he climbs the tower, sees your face on every dollar.